Hey friends, just wanted to give a quick recap of class on Monday. First of all, thank you very much again to everyone who came out. I truly appreciate the energy and the openness that you guys bring to class, and I really look forward to continuing to teach with you. This week we talked about the second of the Yamas, and that is Satya. And Satya translates to truthfulness, telling the truth. On the surface that seems pretty obvious, don't tell lies to people, right? But there's a couple of ways in which this gets pretty tricky for a lot of us in our lives. I live in Minnesota, right? You've all probably heard the expression Minnesota nice, right? There's a difference between nice and fake nice. And we've probably all been in a situation and where somebody has been not genuine with us. They've told us a white lie because they don't want to hurt our feelings. They want us to feel better. Maybe we've been the person telling the white lie. And while the intention is to not do harm, I don't know about you, but I can generally see through that or feel through that when somebody's lying to me to try to make me feel better. And it usually has the opposite effect, at least for me. So sometimes we can actually do more harm than good, which is besides the point of our original intention, right? Another way I can see this in my life is, sometimes we can be we know people that can be just brutally, abrasively honest, and sometimes it's not necessary, right? Sometimes, if somebody's crashing through the room like a rhinoceros, smashing everything with their hammer of truth while they are speaking their truth, they are probably also leaving a lot of harm and hurt in their wake. And there's a reason that nonviolence and non-harm ahimsa is the first of the yamas, because we want to make sure whatever we do, we're not causing harm to people as well, right? And so maybe you've been that person that has been honest unnecessarily and hurt somebody's feelings. And sometimes it's necessary to be brutally honest, don't get me wrong, but there's a time for it and a place for it. And there's a really cool tool I want to share with you guys that Buddhists have talked about, that yogis talk about, and it's called the 4 gates of speech. And the idea is anytime you have something to say, first run it through these 4 gates, and if it passes all 4, it's worth saying. And if not, maybe keep it to yourself. And the first is it true, right? That one's pretty black and white. It's either true or it's not true. The second one gets a little trickier. Is it necessary, right? Your friend shows up, let's say, to a party to meet you there, and they're wearing a shirt, and you think it's just absolutely the most hideous shirt you've ever seen, right? Is it necessary in that moment to tell your friend who's having fun, ready to party, that their shirt is hideous? Probably not. Probably not. It's probably going to make them self-conscious and ruin their night a little bit. Maybe keep that one to yourself, right? Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it timely? Let's say you've got a colleague at work who's been working really, really, really hard all year to get this promotion to like an upper management position, and they got it, and they're really excited, and they're telling you about this promotion. And let's say you've just read a study that correlates, higher levels of stress and more responsibility to lower life expectancy, right? Is it the right time to tell your friend that they might die earlier because of this new promotion they got? Probably not. Maybe just let them have their moment, let them have their joy. Don't bring unnecessary suffering to their life. Maybe have that conversation with them later on if you see that they're getting pretty stressed out. Is it timely, right? And then the final one is it kind? Is it kind? This one also seems obvious, but this can be a pretty tricky one sometimes, because not every conversation that we have with people is going to feel nice, is going to feel kind. Sometimes we have to have really difficult conversations. Somebody's struggling with drug addiction or alcohol addiction or something like that. We got to have some real talk at that point, and it might not feel kind, and it might be necessary that it's not a kind conversation. However, we can do it out of kindness, and also we can do it in as kind a way as possible, right? The things that we say, even though they might be difficult, we can say them in as kind a way as we possibly can, to bring less harm and less suffering to that person when we speak our truth. So, the 4 gates of speech. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it timely? And is it kind? And I think you'll find that if you run your speech through these 4 gates before you say something, that you'll get in a little less trouble, and you might cause a little less suffering. And you might find that people then genuinely start to listen to what you have to say a little bit more, because they start to trust that what you're saying is true and kind. This can show up on the yoga mat in a couple ways as well, very similar to ahimsa. Sometimes we're not honest with ourselves. Sometimes we have this narrative in our head that we can do a certain pose, a certain way, and then we lie to ourselves. Maybe we're tired or we have an injury and we lie to ourselves and we try to do it anyway. And that can be harmful and it doesn't serve us. So on the mat, we need to make sure we're not lying to ourselves in that way. And also, we find oftentimes truth through exploration and inquiry. And so if we're not allowing ourselves the opportunity to explore on the mat, to try a new pose or to try a new variation of a pose, because we have this narrative in our mind that says we can't do it, we are hiding the truth from ourselves, and in effect, we're lying to ourselves as well. So those are two ways that we can kind of focus on the mat, and I'd invite you to pay attention the next time you're on the mat at a yoga class and make sure that you're not lying to yourself. So take that little tidbit with you, the 4 gates of speech. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it timely? Is it kind? And I hope it helps you throughout your day. I'll see you guys next week. We'll talk about the third yama, which is asteya, non-stealing. See you then.